Have you ever wondered how tariffs actually work and what they mean for you as a consumer? Well, if you've been listening to our president-elect's latest trade policies, you might be left with more questions than answers. Let's dive into the world of tariffs and what happens when someone with questionable knowledge of economics takes the reins. But before we jump in, let me ask you this. What happens when a real billionaire challenges a self-proclaimed one? We're about to find out. Mark Cuban, billionaire entrepreneur and owner of the Dallas Mavericks, just sparked a Twitter firestorm. And it's safe to say Donald Trump isn't handling it well. Imagine Cuban sipping on a high-end drink, probably plotting how to send Trump into a fit with just a few words. What Cuban said next set off a chain reaction, not just on social media, but in the hearts of those concerned about the financial future of the nation. Trump, known for his love of big talk and even bigger claims, has become synonymous with the idea of imposing drastic tariffs on imported goods. Now, picture this. Trump proposing a 60% tariff on all products from China. What could that mean for you? Christmas presents, everyday items, and even your favorite gadgets could see prices skyrocket. Not a minor increase, it's a huge jump, and it could leave a lot of people scrambling to make ends meet. When Cuban tweeted about it, he struck a nerve, hitting Trump right where it hurts, his ego. In a stunning move, Cuban didn't just criticize Trump's policies. He went straight for the jugular. He didn't even let up on Trump's infamous physical appearance. Ouch! If you've ever heard a truth bomb explode on Twitter, it was this moment. Cuban's followers, along with the internet as a whole, were quick to spread his words. It's like a wildfire of retweets and likes that made Cuban an overnight sensation. If you hadn't heard of him before, you were suddenly all in for what he had to say. Now, let's talk tariffs. Tariffs are taxes imposed on imports, and when you impose a 60% tariff, the costs for the consumer go up drastically. If you think that sounds bad, you're not alone. Many economists and experts agree that this kind of move could harm consumers, hitting their wallets hard, especially during the holidays. The question is, will we all be able to afford the Christmas presents we want to buy for our family and friends if tariffs hike up the cost of everything? Cuban made a solid point that the average consumer could see prices go up by 50% or even 60%. And as much as we like to believe that this wouldn't have serious consequences, just think about it. What would happen if you couldn't buy those presents you've been planning for all year? Trump, of course, didn't take Cuban's comments lightly. His ego, which is often as inflated as his policies, couldn't let this go unnoticed. What followed was a meltdown for the ages. It was like watching someone try to defend their paper-thin self-esteem in front of the entire world. Trump took to Twitter, doing what he does best, throwing out insults without a shred of substance. His first comeback, calling Cuban overrated. Really? That's the best you've got? It's like a toddler trying to take on a college professor. And then, to make matters worse, Trump dug even deeper into his bag of tricks, reminding the world of his big TV success on The Apprentice. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Trump's tweets, which could have been his chance to put Cuban in his place, ended up being an embarrassing disaster. Misspellings, lack of coherence, and childish remarks. You've seen someone struggle. With social media, this is it. Commentators were quick to point out how bad Trump's tweets were, even comparing them to something out of a drunken uncle's Twitter feed. Despite the backlash, Trump's loyal followers rushed to defend him, but their efforts were as weak as a half-empty cup of gas station coffee. Watching them try to make sense of Trump's Twitter tantrums felt like watching kindergartners attempting to explain quantum physics. It's almost painful to watch, but at the same time incredibly entertaining. Meanwhile, the late-night comedians were having the time of their lives, from Seth Meyers to Jimmy Kimmel. The chaos was a goldmine of material. They turned Trump's meltdown into a running joke, adding to the absurdity of the whole situation. Trump's social media antics were like an early Christmas gift for comedians everywhere. But let's not forget the central issue here: tariffs. Trump's idea of imposing a 60% tariff on Chinese goods isn't just misguided, it's potentially disastrous for the everyday American. Not only would prices go up on nearly everything we buy, but the trickle-down effect would hit families hard, especially around the holidays.
Can you imagine?
Trying to buy presents for your loved ones and realizing that you can't afford half the items you've planned for. And there's more to the story. Trump seems to have very little understanding of how tariffs work. He once claimed that China would pay for the tariffs, and let's not forget his promise that Mexico would pay for the wall. But here's the thing, tariffs are paid by American consumers, not the countries from which we import goods. Trump's own business blunders and lack of understanding about basic economics are beginning to show as we dive deeper into the ramifications of Trump's policies. One thing becomes clear. His tariffs could hurt the very people he claims to be helping. When Cuban called out Trump's lack of economic savvy, it wasn't just a personal attack. It was a truth bomb that hit the heart of the issue. It wasn't just about politics. It was about real-world consequences that affect millions of people. So, let's take a step back and ask ourselves, will we be able to afford the products we want to buy if Trump's tariffs come into play? Will our holiday shopping budgets take a massive hit? Or will we be forced to cut back on spending just to make ends meet? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. Cuban's tweet, which sent Twitter into a frenzy, wasn't just a jab at Trump's ego, it was a wake-up call to all of us about the potential consequences of bad trade policies. It's clear that when it comes to tariffs, Trump might not have a full grasp on the complexities involved. And while we're all entertained by the drama unfolding on social media, we shouldn't lose sight of the real issue at hand. The impact of these tariffs could be far-reaching, and we all need to be paying attention. In the end, Cuban's words have opened up a larger conversation, one that's long overdue. With tariffs on the line, we might just find ourselves facing a future where the things we take for granted, like affordable gifts and everyday products, become a lot less attainable. And for those of us hoping for a Merry Christmas, it might just turn out that the Grinch isn't who we expected.